What's now Turkey, as you know, playing a major role as the main backer of the opposition. It has replaced the United States, which is sidelined. However, Turkey's prime minister says the U.S.-led coalition can still participate in the talks, barring any groups involved in terrorism. Natalie Carney joining us live now from Istanbul with more on all of this. Natalie, can you explain Turkey's role in these negotiations?
Well, of course, Turkey and Russia both, as was just mentioned, supporting opposing sides in the Syrian conflict. And their role really is to bring under the ceasefire their partners, so to speak, the opposition groups that Turkey is supporting in Syria. There has been much talk, as you've mentioned, about Ankara replacing Washington as the main backer of the opposition. Now, this is relatively understandable due to recent events, of course, in the U.S. with the political transition in the U.S., as well with relations with Russia. Those have been improving quite dramatically over 2016, while relations between Moscow and Washington have been deteriorating. So there's a lot more room for compromise, so to speak, when diplomatically the two parties are speaking, are on positive terms. As well, Turkey has become much more concerned about events in Syria recently, as it has entered the war in Syria physically with Euphrates Shield, fighting ISIL terrorists in the north of the country, as well as Kurdish militants there. So Turkey really has much more of a stake now that it is physically in the role in the fight in Syria. So with all those points mentioned, it is quite understandable why Ankara is taking a much more leading role in trying to bring about some sort of solution in Syria.
And Natalie, Turkey definitely wants to turn the page on 2016, a very chaotic year for the country. Describe the challenges that Turkey faced.
There has been many, Mike, absolutely. Most recently, of course, with the assassination of the Russian ambassador here in Turkey. Despite that, relations between Moscow and Ankara have steadied on. As well, Turkey, of course, has been continuing to fight terrorist organizations within the country. Most recently, terrorist attacks on December the 10th, twin bombings at the Beşiktaş Sports Stadium, which saw the deaths of 38 people, most of those being police officers. And that was blamed on Kurdish separatists. And then we saw, of course, the battle with ISIL increasing back in August. They were blamed for attacking a wedding party in the southern province of Gaziantep, in which more than 50 people were killed. Following that particular attack is when Turkey decided to enter the fray of the Syrian war and entered under the Operation Euphrates Shield, now with tanks and military personnel in northern Syria, as I've mentioned, fighting against ISIL operatives as well as Kurdish separatists there. But I think most monumentally, of course, here in the country was the attempted coup on July the 15th, which brought the entire country out onto the streets and has been the main topic of discussion ever since. The government does blame the Fethullah Gulen terrorist organization for that attempted coup. Again, another terrorist organization that the government is saying that it is fighting against. All this, of course, has affected the economy. We have seen tourism drop here. We've seen the lira hit historic lows against the U.S. dollar. So economic ties or economic times have been quite difficult here. But positively, we can say, on a positive note, I should say, diplomatic relations were restored with Russia earlier in the year, and as well with Israel. So two positive points brought out by 2016, Mike.
Natalie Carney, live for us in Istanbul. Thank you.